Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the Woke Bros. Of course, I'm your host, Big Waz, aka Wazni Lambre. And yeah, we're just a nice, quick little impromptu election night check-in, y'all. Obviously, super tight race as we've been promising you guys for months now. Um Yeah, it's it's just crazy tight. I think I told you guys if I had to guess, Trump will win this thing in a tight one. Most of these swing states are super tight as anticipated. None of them have been called yet. The swing states, and so yeah, buckle up, buckle in for a long night. I think you know if Kamala Harris loses this race, like there's definitely going to be some things, some decisions that her campaign made that I thought were kind of shaky in the process and the thinking. Um, but mostly, honestly, I think if she loses, it's because people don't fuck with Joe Biden. Joe Biden is deeply unpopular. People feel like they're in a rut. Don't like the economy. Yes, I know all the pointy-headed liberals will tell you these people are idiots for thinking the economy isn't amazing because look at Wall Street and look at this inflationary number that went down and blah 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 blah. But what people think about is that 4 years ago their groceries were cheaper, their rents were much cheaper, their gas was mostly cheaper, and I'm not saying that's Joe Biden's fault, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, people are going to blame the Democrats, Joe Biden, and their stewardship for not feeling it on the economy. Then, you add that to these folks who are immigration hawks. Um, and they're like, yeah, I'm not rolling with this again. We did the like you promised me this Joe Biden thing was going to be so much better than Trump. And after 4 years, many people will have said, I don't feel like this is better than the 4 years that Trump had. And I don't think there's much that Kamala Harris could have did to reverse that. I really don't. Even though I've been pretty critical of a lot of the stuff the campaign has done, like for instance, this Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney kick that they've been on the last few weeks. I don't get it. I know that they're like trying to get these Nikki Haley Republican voters. Like I tend to feel like Republicans vote for Republicans, voters that is. And so I didn't understand that. Just basically like we're the party of Dick and Liz Cheney. I don't know why you would lean into that. Mimi just doesn't care that we're on live right now and just walks through the shot. Um, I thought that was bad. I know a lot of people are going to talk about the Josh Shapiro situation was a mistake. I obviously don't think so. I think people overrate that guy's appeal. I think people pretending that this guy would have had Pennsylvania sewn up, I think is BS and malarkey. Yes, he won his race up there, but he went up against a god awful Republican candidate, a literal quack and a kook. But whatever. People would say the Josh Shapiro thing was a mistake. I'm not there. Um, yeah, I think the Liz Cheney thing was weird. I think locking, your running mate Tim Walz up in a freaking cage after announcing him and not allowing the guy to do any public appearances when his public appearances are the thing that made you guys attracted to him as an additive flavor to your campaign. I thought that was a mistake. And I just think the Democrats, man, generally, not making an affirmative case for themselves and making a case that we're the anti-Trump, we're the anti this. I just don't think that's that attractive. Yes, there are voters who they are attractive to, especially these people with their nice jobs and nice homes and safe ass places in the suburbs who they love. They love that voter more than anybody else in the world. Yes, they love the idea of somebody who's more orderly, who says the right things in public, unlike Trump. I understand that there is an appeal to a certain kind of voter, but most people don't care, bro. Like the scare tactics just cannot work against them when it comes to Donald Trump because they did it for 4 years. Okay. Now, again, if this thing happens to fall in Kamala's direction, and Trump and them lose, I think it will be because Kamala ran it up with women with the abortion stuff. I think obviously, like this abortion bit, like an abolition of abortion is deeply unpopular, even amongst Republicans all throughout the country. The abortion thing hurts them. I think, if they could run it up in terms of, getting the women vote out there, I think that would be a major reason as to why Trump lost. And I think, January 6th continuing to be something that a lot of voters are just repulsed by. The idea that this guy would incite a riot at the Capitol in order to sort of reverse to try anyway to reverse the results of a legitimate election. I think a lot of people are still repulsed by that. And I think that would be, why Kamala won if she won. Again, I think a lot of Democrats counting on Kamala to, you know, um, win these states that they won by razor thin margins, like North Carolina, Arizona, and Georgia. These places that are just traditionally Republican and like not even kind of Republican, like pretty damn Republican, and like their state houses and stuff like that. Like I don't think she's gonna win North Carolina. I don't think she's gonna win Arizona. I don't think she's gonna win GA. I like these places are Republican, and if she doesn't win any of those states, and then Nevada's looking like a toss up, then that means she has to sweep, these quote unquote blue wall states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. I don't think she's gonna sweep those. Like she has to literally win all of those, blue wall states. And I have a hard time seeing that happen, man. I think the unpopularity of Joe Biden's administration, plus the haphazard nature that she was forced to put this campaign under, like these are legitimate. I'm not making excuses. I just think these are legitimate reasons as to why she may or may not win. And I can hear people already saying like, well, what the fuck, Donald Trump is horrible. It's like, guys, like a lot of people, if you're watching this, you're pretty politically engaged, right? Like you're paying attention to this on a day-to-day. The average general election voter, man, like literally started paying attention to this like 2 weeks ago. Like most, especially people who are like undecided, like aren't, firmly entrenched as being, Democrats or Republicans, right? Most people 2 weeks ago, they started being like, yo, what's happening with this election? Yeah, I heard I gotta go vote or whatever. And that's how they do it. And I get it. I think Donald Trump is like super erratic. I don't think he does a lot of stuff on the whims. A lot of this stuff is like based on the last person he talked to and who was like stroking his ego, can be very influential. I don't think Donald Trump has a real ideology. In so much that he does, it's like his own self-aggrandizement. Like, I don't think like he has a fluid, like, for instance, like, Donald Trump never gets up there and talks about like, yo, Social Security, Medicare, let's get rid of that. He's not ideological like a Paul Ryan. You know what I mean? Like a Lindsey Graham, like a Mitch McConnell. Like these guys are ideologues. I don't think he's ideological. And like, but to me, that cuts both ways. Like he's not tethered to anything, so you don't know what to expect, right? And some people may be like, oh, well, that was good when he wanted to end the war in Syria, end the war in Syria, bring take American troops up out of there, which went against every single freaking Republican in existence. But then the general stepped in and didn't let him do it, right? Like that was nice. It didn't happen, but that was nice. Oh, this guy actually has an independent strain to him. But this guy, this 2024 campaign is nothing like 2016. He's not talking about, the tariff taking the jobs away in the factories and all of that. Excuse me, free trade and all of that. He's not really going with that populist agenda. If anything, man, he's like running it up with the Elon Musk and other Silicon Valley types and titans of industry. And it's just conventional Republican crap. Like, and then, you pair that with the demagoguery, the xenophobia when it comes to immigrants and all that kind of ugly stuff. And that's what the campaign is, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I tend to think, and people might think I'm being naive or whatever. I tend to think he's going to do basically what any Mitch McConnell loving Republican would do in that office. He might take a different tact on Ukraine than pretty much everybody else, because as you guys know, the rhetoric in the freaking Washington establishment, foreign policy establishment, is like, Ukraine is like the greatest freedom fighting mission in the history of the world, and it's America's sacred and solemn duty, to protect them at all costs. You will never hear anybody in the foreign policy establishment talk about saying, yo, how do we bring this to an end? Like tomorrow, yeah, maybe Ukraine has to take some losses in terms of territory, but we can stop the bloodshed, stop the fighting right now, figure out what we want to do in terms of NATO expansion. Nobody, not a single. I'm not saying Trump's going to do that, but he's definitely going to take a different tact than the establishment tact, for better or for worse. Yeah, I think. Oh, he's definitely going to pass. He's going to extend that big old corporate tax cut, 100%. That's 100% happening. And then outside of that, man, like this whole like, oh, we're gonna do mass deportation tomorrow. I really have a hard time believing it. Especially because he's brought these big old rich corporate donors in. That's a big part of his tent now, which it wasn't. Like a lot of the super big corporate people were like kind of like skittish about him in 2016, and a little bit less so in 2020. But now they're just like, we don't care. There's no down shot to being publicly down with him. And those people, believe me, guys, they love undocumented labor. They love not paying people. They love. I have a hard time believing Donald Trump's going to turn that spigot off. I really do. I just really do. People might say I'm naive. People might say I'm stupid. I'm crazy. I really have a hard time believing that they're gonna attempt to pull people off of farms, pull people out of restaurants, pull people off of tractors, pull people off of construction sites. Like, so there's these corporate developers get like, I have a hard time seeing it. I know the rhetoric has been nasty, has been dangerous. I understand that. I really, 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 really have a hard time seeing that happen. And so, yeah, and yeah, y'all could say I'm being crazy. I think he's just gonna be a standard issue freaking Republican president. I really do. I don't see them. They're not gonna touch entitlements. They're not gonna touch Social Security. They're not gonna touch Medicare. They're not cutting that. We know they're not gonna cut the military budget. We know that they might even increase that thing. And yeah, a bigger deficit 4 years from now. Like typical standard Republican operating procedure, y'all. Like, I really do think that. I don't think this is the last election in the history of the Republic. I don't believe that. Um, I just, I'm just not as freaked out by another Trump presidency. I'll be definitely bummed out. I want to see Kamala win, but I just don't know why I should think that some drastic departure from what every Republican would do in that chair is on the offer. Now, on the flip side, if Kamala gets in, I also, yeah, in Gaza, I don't see Trump doing anything differently. Like, again, Trump is egotistical in the sense that, like, if he starts personally taking a hit in his approval rating and his sort of support from his actual people behind the Gaza war, I can see him busting a move. Outside of that, I don't see him lifting a finger to change anything about what's happening in Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon. Don't see it. Kamala, I I've been trying to I've been trying to squint and see some daylight between her and Joe Biden. Maybe I don't know, man. I don't see it. I haven't seen proof of it in her public statements. Yes, she acknowledges that Palestinians are people, human beings every now and again. Tim Walz, same thing. In terms of we would do something, we would actually do something different. I haven't seen a goddamn thing. And we know in Ukraine, oh Lord, yeah, she's on the side of riding that Ukraine thing till the freaking wheels fall off. So Ukraine is staying status quo. Um, but in terms of an agenda, like that's the problem. Like the last time these folks smoked the Republicans in an election was Barry's two elections. And again, they were making again, cut out the fact that Barry is one of the, legitimately one of the most talented politicians of our lifetime, if not the most. Just cut that out. Um, cut out the fact that he was bought and paid for by Wall Street from the start. Whatever. We don't need to relitigate that. But on the campaign trail, what got folks excited was this affirmative message. We're going to overhaul healthcare because the way we do it out here is BS, and we want to change that and make it way better. We're done with stupid forever wars. We're done making those same like it was this idea. It's hope and it's change. We're changing this whole shit. Of course, he never delivered on anything. Had the most incredible. Like, could you imagine the mandate, man? That advantage they had in the House, 58 fucking Democrats in the Senate. I don't think we'll ever see that again. Like literally ever. It's maybe probably. I'm sure it could happen again. Maybe Trump will win. It'll be such a disaster to happen again. But this is an incredible mandate on what? An affirmative message. Making a case for the Democrats and what they can do for everyday people. That's what got like, damn, this brother's going to really turn this thing around. Of course, we got the opposite. But yeah, to me, that's when they were at their strongest, making an affirmative case. And so what I wanted to do tonight is hop around some of the live election coverage that's happening. Sorry, 1 second. What is happening here? Anyway, who's this? ABC. Yeah, I just wanted to hop around some of the election coverage. ABC, couple of these other cats. Want to hop in with TYT, see what Anna and them is up to, and just have some fun. Just hop around. Listen to what just listen to results as they come through, a little bit of analysis, and then keep it pushing. I think they're at commercial right now, Jerv. So we can just give it a second. But yeah, man, Kamala, if she's gonna win, she's gonna do it in Michigan, it's in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, by the skin of her teeth, y'all. Like, and that's the only way that it's going. And again, I don't want to be freaking therapist over here, right? I don't want to be freaking therapist over here, but like at the end of the day, there's this other thing I want to address about shaming, because that's what the Dems are gonna do if they lose. They're gonna come out, they're gonna blame Negro men, which is it's just hilarious to me that you're gonna do a blame pie, and what you're gonna do is blame one of the smallest slither of the electorate, which means black men, a cohort who votes for you at 85% on a bad election day, right? And Barry ran it up to like 93 or something crazy like that. So you're going to take black men who already voted for you at 85% and say, it's your fault. It's insane. It's insane. The job of these parties, these politicians, y'all, is to come out again and make a case for themselves. It's not to come out and figure wag at the voter and say, tisk, tisk. You're not doing your job by anointing me all of the power in the world. Especially when you can't point to your many great victories. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, here's the thing about Obamacare, feckless and toothless as it is. The parts that were able to survive the goddamn medical insurance lobby and the corporate Dem cohort, you know, the stuff like pre-existing conditions and keeping your kids on until they're in their 20s, like that stuff became so goddamn popular. The freaking GOP no longer calls it Obamacare. They call it ACA. Okay? So here's a crazy idea for the Democrats. Do more shit like that. Do things that are popular, that people like, that have staying power. That even if the Republicans wanted to, I swear to God, if they can go out and take the Senate, take the House, have Donald Trump up there, and I swear to God, they cannot gut that bill. People love it too much. Republicans love those things too much. So guess what? Hold on, let's hop in, man, and see what they talking about on ABC News here, y'all. Let's hop in with them. Oh, you can't hear anything? Oh, hold up. My bad. Wait a second, huh? It says I'm sharing it. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. It said I was sharing. Oh, let me know if y'all hear that now. Throw it on.
Leaning voters.
My bad, guys.
So this is becoming a much
Can you hear this
blue,
now?
Part of the
Can
state
we hear
too. So
it?
that might cut into some of those margins that Trump might have in those red counties. So this might be the place where Harris might find a little bit of good news with those youth voters, like around the country. They've been standing in lines today, waiting to vote. So we'll see what it actually produces as the night goes on. But waiting for those absentee ballots to be processed, that is the thing that takes so long. So that will keep us sort of waiting throughout the night. But they tell us that it's moving along smoothly. They had a small snafu earlier, but it was just a small technical glitch. They think that's going to move along. So Milwaukee and, of course, Madison will probably deliver well for her. And the big question is going to be how big? Because, as you said, 20,000 votes or so for Biden last time. Can she do better than that? That's what she's going to have to probably do to feel solid here in Wisconsin. David?
Deborah Roberts in Madison. Deborah, appreciate it. 28% of the vote in. Kamala Harris up by about 41,000 votes. Ryan's got about a minute before we have to hit a break here. What do you make of what you saw? I saw Donald Trump surpassing his benchmarks that he needed to ever so slightly, but in each one of those counties, Rick showed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rick showed Kenosha, Wisconsin, where I grew up. That always was a Democrat town. It's where Chrysler American Motors was. 57% is huge. He was at 50% in 2020, about 47% in 2016. The key for Wisconsin right now, though, is Madison, Dane County, that blue in the middle. If Donald Trump can stay above 24%, I think Kamala Harris is going to have a tough time. The difference in 2016 and 2020.
Jerv, we're going to hop around. I can't
votes.
listen to Reince Priebus. I can't listen to this dude talk. We gonna see what Steve Kornacki talking about on MSNBC, man. We can't do the Reince Priebus, man. Let's mess with Steve Kornacki.
In Luzerne County.
Can y'all hear the sound on that?
Same day as what's still to come here. So Trump's
leading
by 8 points now. He won this county by more than 14 in 2020. Question for the Trump campaign wants to get over that number. They want to improve on that number here. If the Democrats can stop them from doing that, that's a big development for Democrats. We want to go back and look at Georgia because, again, and Joy was just talking about this, the suburban support for Democrats in this Atlanta metro area. Something interesting is happening. There are some suburban counties here. You call them kind of the emerging suburbs of the Atlanta metro area, where the growth is the fastest and the diversification is the most dramatic. And that is definitely where Harris is posting improvements tonight. I think we showed you Douglas County a few minutes ago. Again, rapid growth here. It's about half black. And you can see in 2020, 25 points. Tonight, Harris is winning this by 32 points. You see it in Rockdale County. Just about all of the vote is in here. Biden got 70%. Harris has pushed that up to 73. This is a majority black county. You can go to Newton County here. You know, this was the tightest margin of all these Atlanta metro counties.
And just to speak on what Kornacki is talking about there, I think that's how Joe Biden was able to pull it out in 2020. As you guys know, my brother and my sister are both Georgia residents in the exurbs out in Gwinnett County. Those places have exploded in population. Places like Gwinnett, places like Cobb, places like, those other suburban counties around Atlanta. And like, these are new people. These aren't the traditional Georgia voters. And like, yeah, it's these suburbanites that the Dems have been increasingly college educated people, both men and women, black and white. Like, increasingly, that's been the difference, man. These normies in the burbs, they absolutely love the Dems, and that's how they're able to even make GA close and outright winning it for Biden. Places like North Carolina are fast growing states, one of the fastest growing, most dynamic states in our country. And it's the same thing. It's a lot of college educated people moving into that state. Again, more suburbanites, more people that are likely to be Democrats. That's why they feel like they could make ground in places like North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona too. It's not the traditional Arizona that was like, yo, we don't want to pass Martin Luther King Day. You feel me? It's a different Arizona, which is why even a Kristen Sinema could actually win a freaking election in the Senate over there, when that used to be just a straight up Republican state. There was just no doubt about it. So that's what the Dems are hoping to be able to accomplish tonight, man. But yeah, people asking me in the comments for predictions. Like, if I had a prediction, Donald Trump gonna win this thing. Yeah, I think Kamala's path is just too freaking narrow. I don't think she's winning Arizona. I don't think she's gonna win Georgia. I don't think she's gonna win North Carolina, and she's just gonna have to be perfect in the quote unquote blue wall states. And I just don't see that happening for her. So yeah, Trump wins this thing. And yes, they're gonna panic on the New York Times editorial page. They're gonna freaking panic in the Atlantic. They're gonna panic in all of our liberal rags. The resistance part 2 is gonna get ramped up. There's any Republican who comes out and former Republican says, I just can't stand with this, is gonna get his own column, a brand new column in the Times and the Post and all of this other shit. But what I would say, guys, is don't panic. Everything will be mostly as they are. You know what I mean? That's what I would say. And I would say that don't listen to the Dems when they want you to blame your neighbor who's indifferent about this shit. Your cousin who has a Trump fetish. Like, these people are kooks, and it's problematic. But the bottom line is, again, if you couldn't make yourself more attractive than Donald freaking Trump, you're the problem. It's not the people. You're not more attractive. Sorry, Joe Biden and what he's accomplished in 4 years just isn't that attractive. The approval rating speaks for itself. And don't tell me that, Wall Street is out the roof. And nobody cares, bro. And, it never gets discussed enough, honestly. But the problem, the reason why the Dems can't come out and I know people are gonna say, whatever, Waz, you're a fucking Bernie crat. We know you're gonna say this. They can't come out and do this full-throated endorsement because they can't come out and diss big business and corporations. Kamala Harris she's in bed with Silicon Valley. She's in bed with Wall Street. She begged the crypto bros to be down with her. So how could she, in good conscience, how can she, with any legitimacy, come out and actually bash the people who own the economy and say we need to rehaul this thing and have an economy that benefits more people? She can't. No mainstream Democrat can actually say it with their throat. And that's why I think they're hamstrung. This shit is not really that complicated. Like, bruh, like Barry, was cynical as hell, but he was making this case that he's different from Hillary on the wars, which turns out he wasn't. He's different from Hillary on the Wall Street question, which LMFAO absolutely wasn't. He's going to go out and get us a robust healthcare overhaul. Like, this guy was making a case to and for the people. You know what I mean? And it was like naming names about the people who tanked the economy in the Great Recession. Naming names on the campaign trail, right? Never mind that the Rubens was bankrolling him the whole time. You know what I'm saying? But like, the Dems can't do that with any credibility anymore. So when people say, oh, why is he getting Teamster support? Like, bruh, the Dems don't get Teamster support because, one, those folks feel like they earn those contracts on their own. It's not because of Democratic Party politics, because they've abandoned them years ago, decades ago. They go out and get contracts on their own. They go out and strike. They go out and do labor militancy on their own. And so when they're freaking, when their union membership, the rank and file is like, yo, we kind of like Donald Trump as a guy. He feels like he's not part of this system. Again, I disagree with them, but it's not hard to understand why they don't see the Democrats as their Lord and Savior. It's not hard. Like, we know who you're in bed with, Hillary Clinton. Like, how can Hillary Clinton come out and make a case to union members, to Teamsters, to other unions, to those union members in Las Vegas, to be like, Hillary Clinton come out and be like, yeah, I'm down with you? It's like, no, you're not. You're phony. You don't stand on anything. I find what the Republicans stand on to be disgusting. Anti-abortion, deregulate the hell out of everything, cut taxes for nobody except the most wealthiest ever, xenophobic and racist as hell on immigration. I don't agree with any of that, but we know that they actually stand on it. You will never hear a Republican come out and say another Republican is reasonable because they moderated their message. That's only a Democratic Party thing. You're only serious when you compromise. Shouts to my man Freddie DeBoer. He just put a piece out about that. And it's so true. We have a center-right party in the Democrats and a far-right party in the Republicans. And so the direction of the country only goes in one freaking direction. Because you have a party that's pushing to its extremes and another party that's their entire ethos is compromise. It's crazy. And then they don't understand why people don't get energized for nana nana boo boo, we're not Trump. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Let's lock back in with Steve Kornacki, y'all. Oh, actually, he's on break, Jerv. He's on break. Sorry, y'all. We're doing this on the fly, as you can tell. We can switch over to TYT. Hopefully, they're not panicking yet. Let's lock in with TYT, Jerv.
In Florida, they had an opportunity to vote in favor of basically repealing the current 6-week abortion ban law that they have and ensuring that the state constitution protected reproductive rights under the same standard as Roe v. Wade. But Florida changed the rules, so you need like a super majority of voters to vote in favor of it rather than a simple majority. So you need 60% just to get that ballot measure passed. And you know, it's easy to say, leave it up to the states, but when the state is run by, one party mostly, they get to decide what the rules are for the elections as well.
Yeah, so now you know what it feels like to live in California, Anna.
Oh, I know what it's like to live in California, believe me.
Yeah, but it's a fair point. Yeah, but and it's like I hate the platitudes like learn to code or just move or anything like that. Like it's so easy just to pick up your entire family and move somewhere. But look, you got to keep fighting that fight. I think that constitutionally speaking, it definitely has to be adjudicated in the states. If there becomes a problem, or rather if a problem arises at the state level, then we have to address that, certainly. But that doesn't mean we, stop listening to the Constitution, obviously. Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
I don't, there's stuff in Florida I like and stuff I don't, we talked about this on my show last week, but keeping elementary schools away from all the CRT stuff and the trans stuff, fine with that. I don't think that belongs in elementary schools. Trying to ban books for high school kids, like, man, come on, 14 to 17, 18-year-olds. It's like you really, that's a very boomer thing to think that these kids don't know stuff that Come on, man, they know they know everything. So that part was kind of dumb, and this is the problem. Republicans have to be. I'm not a Republican, by the way, but Republicans have to stand up and say, look, you guys have overreached, right? If we're going to talk about the Constitution all the time and how sacred and important it is, when your side violates it, you better be just as angry as if the other side violated it. If not, you don't actually believe anything.
Yeah. All right, we got to leave it right there. We've got some important races to cover. Dan Holloway from Drinking Bros. Really appreciate you, brother. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir.
All right. Just a quick check-in. Yeah. Yeah, the coverage is what it is. Like I said, these races are all coming down to the wire. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan. That's what you got to watch. Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia. That's the race. That's the only states that matter. That's another thing. Can we abolish the goddamn electoral college? I really do think we would goose turnout by like so much if everybody thought one vote, one person, one vote, no matter the state that they were in. Turnout would be so incredible. And I know that like election coverage industrial complex would kind of cease to matter. But like, yeah, that would be best. If we just counted every vote. Counted every vote. Like these freaking flunkies, excuse me, not flunkies. I shouldn't say that. We love the people in parts of America where there's like 100 people in the state. But like y'all already get to send 2 people to the Senate. You don't also need the electoral college advantage for no reason. Okay? One person, one vote, y'all. We need that ASAP. And I do think like more people would come out. And that's another thing, like to just get back to what I was saying about what Freddie was saying. Could you, if the Republicans had won the popular vote in 4 out of the 5 last elections, and 2 of them didn't ascend to the presidency, and they had the power to do it, you really think the Electoral College would exist anymore? I mean, be serious. Be serious. It'd be done, gone, finished, finito. But, them's going dem, man. Yeah, man. So I just wanted to do a quick check-in with you guys. Don't panic. Do not panic. Don't be like me in 2016 when Hillary lost, who didn't eat the next day and was like, put up a Facebook picture of Trump making fun of developmentally disabled people to like make a statement about who we elected president. This is a disgrace. Don't be like me in 2016, y'all. Be better than me. Okay. The fight continues, man. We can't just roll over and die because one cycle, the election doesn't quote unquote go our way. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to feel bad for the Democrats, man. They need to learn lessons. They need to lose doing shit like sniffing the Cheney's jock straps. They need to learn these hard lessons, man. It like completely just telling the first of all, telling the left always, oh, go take a long walk off a short pier. But also like all of these Arabs, these brown people in the state of Michigan, when you got a razor thin margin and being like, nope, sorry, you don't matter. We're going to go after, Nikki Haley voters. Like, they got to learn lessons, man. Like, I want Kamala to win, but it's like, it's hard. I want to see these people pay. I want heads to roll, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. And I know like the Donald Trump thing is going to be horrible if it comes to pass. But god damn, these smug ass establishment Dems. Like they have to somehow learn the error of their ways, y'all. That's where I'm at with it, man. Like, man. Anyway, love you guys, man. Thank you for locking in with us. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure you're hitting the notification. Become a Patreon, patreon.com/countthedings. I would say mess with TYT, mess with Breaking Points. If you're into the Kornacki thing, you can mess with Kornacki for your election coverage. Don't do the CNN thing. Don't do it to yourself. And absolutely don't go to that other spot either. But yeah, man. Shouts to y'all, man. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.